This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, and today we're here to recap the final week of racing in the iRacing NASCAR Fixed Truck Series. In the previous episode, I showed you how to get up to speed. I showed you my qualifying line of a 41.431. I also showed you how the points had been adjusted after the drop week and how I was 21st in the points, only 2 points back of being in that top 20. So in other words, there was a lot of work to be done, and with that, I charged into the racing at Auto Club Speedway. Now before I go showing you every single race that happened this week, I'm going to tell you things went a little bit crazy in my pursuit of a top 20 finish. I did a lot more races than you'd ever imagine. So in the name of keeping this show tolerable and on the point, I'm only going to show you the races that mattered in the championship points overall. I'll be putting out a second video that will actually recap all of those races for those of you who want to see how it played out race by race. Now let's get down to the actual racing for the week, or at least the points paying races for the week. In the first race, I started in the second split of 4, and I would be starting in the 3rd position with the 7th ranked truck out of 20. On the start, the leader got a good jump, and I fought for 2nd place through turns 1 and 2, and by the end of the first lap, I was 3rd spot coming off of 2 on the 2nd lap. By lap 11, I had closed the gap and caught back up to the leaders running together. But on lap 12, a caution would come out and group the field back together for another restart. The leader would actually pit for tires, and I would pick up a spot for the restart that came on lap 16. I got an okay start and had to fight it out for 2nd place. Then coming off of turn 2, I secured that spot, but the 4 truck was now running 3rd place on fresh tires. That restart would be short-lived as another caution would be thrown when the 9 truck slides up and hits the 20, hurting both trucks significantly. The next race start was very similar, and I found myself fighting that 2 truck for 2nd spot once again. And again, another caution comes out when the 8 truck would have another problem that ends up collecting another couple of trucks. The final restart of the race would come on lap 25 with me again running 2nd on the outside row. This restart once again had me battling with the 2 truck fighting for 2nd place, but this time the 3 and 4 trucks were right there in the mix of it. This battle continued on all the way around as we took lap 26. We enter turn 1 3 wide and get through the first half okay. Then I come down slightly into the 4. He then goes slightly down into the 3, and a huge wreck then follows. This would hurt nearly half of the trucks in the field and leave me locked into the 2nd position as we finished the race under caution. The room's strength of field was 21-13, and my 2nd place finish would earn me 126 championship points, and I would pick up 78 iRating to 2388. I had 4 incidents and would lose .08, dropping my safety rating to a 3.29. For the second race, I was in the 2nd of 6 splits. I started in the 7th position with the 10th ranked truck out of 17. The 9 truck didn't start the race, and I gained a spot without even trying. The start went well, and I jumped up into 5th place. There were a few early cautions in the race, and on lap 10 I would restart in 3rd spot. I then worked my way into 2nd place with a whole field of cars bunched up behind me. Then they started to touch, and a couple of them ended up spinning out, bringing out yet another caution. For the restart on lap 16, I would get a terrible jump, and this allowed the 16 truck to get a run under me, and that would start a whole train of trucks going low. By the time it was all said and done, I was back into 5th place on lap 19. By lap 23, I was feeling good, and I started to pass trucks back, with me now running on the low line. I moved back into 4th place. With 2 to go, I had a windshield full of the top 3 all battling for position. We raced it out for the final lap, and the entire pack would come all the way to the line with hardly any distance between cars, for one of the coolest race finishes of the week. The room's strength of field was 2381, and my 4th place finish would earn me 121 championship points. It would gain me 58 iRating, taking me to 2439. I had 0 incidents and picked up .09 safety rating to 3.46. In the 3rd race, I made the top split of 3, and I started the race in 8th place with a 9th ranked truck out of 15 total. When the green flag dropped, I got a good start and held my 8th position, and it left me on the tail of the 6th truck. The leader of the race got loose off of 4 and dropped back, picking me up to 7th position. Then on lap 3, I got a good run on the 6 truck and passed him for 6th place going into turn 1. Then on the 4th lap, I smashed the wall coming off of turn 2. This not only beats up the truck a little, but it lets the 6 go by again for 6th place. This also allows the former leader in the 1 truck to go by under me as well. Then while following the group ahead of me, the 10 truck gets a good run down low and passes me, putting me back to 9th position. The 5 truck tries to follow, but I'm able to fight him off. Then on lap 11, me and the 10 truck start to fight it out, with the 5 is tucked in right behind me in the mix. I'm finally able to clear the 10th truck for 8th position. The 6th truck also gets into the wall off of turn 4 and goes back a bunch of positions. This allows me to get a run on the 1 truck, who then gets a little bit loose, and I go by, taking the 6th spot on lap 12. On lap 15, the 1 truck would be back for more and would pass me down low. The 10 truck would also try to go by down low, and we end up fighting it out until I hold that spot and run in 7th place. Up ahead, the top 4 were really going at it, with 2 other Simpit trucks in the mix. The 15 truck gets a wiggle and goes up into the wall, giving the 2 truck nowhere to go but into him. This would bring out a caution on lap 16 with me running in 6th place. The entire grid came down pit lane for new tires and to fix any damage from our long run. The only truck that actually stayed out was the now very lonely 10 truck. I ended up speeding on pit lane and had to go to the end of the grid for the restart on lap 21, now running in 13th place. Later that lap, I got a good run off of turn 4 and was able to pass 2 trucks to be in the 11th position by the beginning of lap 22. For some reason, the 5 truck had slowed up and I was able to go around him for what is now back into the top 10 in this race. Going into turn 3 on that same lap, my teammate was trying to run low, entering pit lane to serve a black flag. The 8 truck clipped him slightly, and he woes up enough for me to cruise by on the outside, passing them both and now running in 8th place. Then on lap 23, the 5 truck is back again and gets a great run off of 4. He now has the 8 truck in tow down low, and by the end of lap 24, they had both cleared me, knocking me back to 10th place again. Then the 10 truck with his old tires started falling back through the grid. The 5 and the 8 were fighting each other out, just trying to get around him, until the 5 truck was held up and I was able to pass him and the 10 truck, putting me back into 8th place yet again. On lap 27, the 11 truck got loose and ended up hard into the wall. The 12 truck had nowhere to go but slam into him, and I get under both of them for position, but lose a bunch of steam as the 5 truck gets a run under me. The 10 truck goes with him as we fight it into turns 3 and 4. About mid-corner, the 10 gives the 5 a slight bump, and that wiggle is enough for me to push forward into 6th place. A few laps later, the race would end, and I would finish in 6th place all alone. The room's strength of field was 29.52, and a 6th place finish would be worth 117 championship points. I gained 42 iRating, taking me up to 2560. I had 0 incidents and picked up 0.09 safety rating to 3.73. So after my very long quest of a lot of races to break into the top 20, this is how the final points broke down. iRacing took my top 3 finishes and averaged them together to give me the final championship points for the week. 126 plus 121 plus 117, and then divide that total by 3, giving you a total of 121 points for the week. This gave me a grand total of 572 points and put me in 23rd spot overall. And you can see that I ended up about 13 points shy of 20th position, just outside of my goal. Now, if we look at my safety rating over the course of the season, it started out at 4.01. And after a total of 30 races in 6 weeks, I finished off with a 3.73. A little bit of a loss, and I'm definitely going to have to run cleaner in the future. Now, if you look at my incidents, most of them were me hitting the wall coming off the corner, and that's a little bit better than me hitting other trucks, so that's at least a little bit good. Now, if you take a look at my iRating of that same 6-week season, I started out at a 2048 and finished the season off with a 2560. That's a pretty significant gain, and it might even be enough to push me into Division 2 for next season. Now, when I look back on my points for the season, I noticed that I started things off very slowly in the beginning. It took me 3 weeks to really get up to speed. In the first week, I only scored 98, followed by 110, and followed by 101, giving me an average of 103 points per race. However, the final 3 weeks, you can see that I scored 117, 123, and 121 for an average of 120 points per race. Looking at the person in the 20th position, he scored a total of 585 points, or about 117 points per race average, a bit below my second half of the season average, and having performed better in the first 3 races would have heavily improved my chances. Now, coming off and not finishing in the top 20, you think I'd be a little bit bummed. And to be honest with you, I am. I'm not just bummed, I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little bit pissed off. I feel like I left something on the table, and that isn't cool with me. I wish I had tried harder. I wish I had planned better, and these are things I will take more seriously moving forward. Now, there are things that I can take away from this season that do make me very happy. I had so much fun racing with these guys in the trucks. I had some of the most intense battles that I've ever been in sim racing in my entire life. There were times that I just felt unbeatable, and yet there were others that I was humbled by my lack of ability. Oh man, I'm so sorry about that. And that just gave me something to work on moving forward each week. Now, over the course of 6 weeks, I made some really good friends out there, and I also made some rivalries. I had many moments that would raise my heart rate, and times so scary that I death gripped my wheel to the point of thinking that it would break. I saw a little bit of everything in the truck series. Going into this season, it had been a very long time since I had actually done oval racing, and at the beginning of the season, I definitely felt slow or a little bit off of the pace. But each week, I did get a little bit faster. Each week, I had a little bit more confidence in my ability to handle the truck. Each week, I got more comfortable running in a crowd, and all this meant that I was getting better every race. I made huge advances in all of those areas since the beginning of the season, and that's a great thing. Now, there are also things that I definitely have to improve on moving forward or in the future. My less than spectacular restarts, which I don't even want to say I'm still having a problem with, but I am. I also need to work on my defensive driving a little bit and not letting cars set me up so easily or get a run underneath me. I also learned the importance of getting a good qualifying run in and how that would change or impact each race moving forward in the week. At some of these tracks, track position is everything. Passing can be difficult, and starting up front can be a big difference. It also keeps you out of some of those big wrecks that happen at the mid-pack or even at the rear of the grid. I also really started to understand and see how the points break down, how the drop week plays out, how starting off strong can play a big difference in the end of the season, because a couple of points might make a big difference in your overall positions. Another thing that stood out to me throughout the season is how you're really encouraged to race. The way the average point system works, it really encourages you to get as many races as you can, because it's only going to pick from your best finishes when it gives you your overall championship points for the week. Now, before I bring the show to a close, I want to thank everybody who competed in the Truck Series this season. No. I want to congratulate everybody who competed in the Truck Series this season. I also want to congratulate the guys who actually took the top 3 spots. The overall winner in Division 3 was Michael Gonzalez with an astonishing 778 points. He was followed in second place by Denny Felker Jr., and in the third spot was Alex Gore. And while I'm at it, let's take a moment to congratulate all of the divisional winners in this season's NASCAR Fixed Truck Series, starting with Division 1 winner Tom Moustakis, Division 2 Daniel Coleman, Division 4 Brian Ward, Division 5 Christopher Main, Division 6 Kenneth McCullough Jr., Division 7 Nick Northrup, Division 8 Michael Halloway, Division 9 Dennis Myers, and Division 10 Brian Guadis. Well, that's going to about do it for my short season run at the iRacing NASCAR Fixed Truck Series. And at this point, I'm dealing with a little bit of postseason withdrawal. It's week 13, week 7, or otherwise known as our off week. And honestly, I'm a little bit lost without my series. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do or what I'm supposed to race. More importantly, I need to set my goals for next season. I need to figure out what I'm going to run. I also need to figure out how seriously am I going to take it. And more importantly, what am I going to learn from this season moving forward? So I hope you've enjoyed this show. I hope you've enjoyed this series, and I hope you've taken a little bit away from it. If you're going to challenge a series, maybe if you're going to run in a league, it'll help you focus on points, focus on racing. And if you have an opinion on what you think I should run next season, head over to simpit.com and post your comments to this video. Let me know what you think would be fun or interesting or educational for me to conquer on a quest for a top 20 or maybe even a top 10 finish in the season overall. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.